You just got the promotion, the raise, the grade, the result you worked for, and your first thought wasn't celebration. It was, they're going to find out. Find out that you don't actually know what you're doing, that you've been winging it, that the person they promoted, the one they think is so capable, is not who you actually are behind closed doors at 2 a.m. wondering how long before someone notices. Here's the part that should stop you completely. The smarter you are, the worse this gets. Not better, worse. Think about the most confident person you know. The one who speaks first in meetings, never seems to second-guess themselves, moves through the world like the answer is always obvious. The research says there's a very good chance that person actually knows less than you. And you, sitting in the back of the room quietly wondering if you're smart enough to be there, are probably the most competent person in it. This is not a pep talk. This is a documented psychological pattern called Impostor Phenomenon. And today, we are going to break down exactly why it happens, why it targets the smartest people in the room, and why every success you have actually makes it worse instead of better. By the end of this, you will never look at self-doubt the same way again. I'm Dr. Evan Cole. This channel is about one thing: the real reason people do what they do. Not the surface explanation, not the comfortable one, the actual mechanism underneath. Because once you understand why something is happening in your brain, it stops feeling like a personal failing and starts looking like a pattern. And patterns can be understood. Sometimes they can even be changed. Today, the pattern that haunts the most capable people alive. Let's go. First, let's be clear about what imposter phenomenon actually is. Because most people get this wrong. It is not low confidence. It is not shyness. It is not being bad at your job. It is a very specific glitch. Here's how it works. A person achieves something real. The achievement is documented, verifiable, undeniable. Other people can see it clearly, and yet, the person who achieved it cannot feel it, cannot hold on to it, cannot make it stick. What they feel instead is a quiet, persistent conviction that they got lucky, that the system made a mistake, that they are one bad meeting, one hard question, one moment of exposure away from everyone realizing they don't belong. Two psychologists named Pauline Clance and Suzanne Imes first documented this in 1978. Their finding? It wasn't rare. It wasn't fringe. Between 70 and 82% of high-achieving people experience it at serious levels at some point in their careers. Not some of them, most of them. The people you look at and think they have it all figured out are statistically likely to be running the exact same internal monologue you are. So, why does this happen? Why can a person be objectively capable and subjectively convinced they are a fraud? Here's the simplest way to understand it. Your brain has two different filing systems. The first filing system handles good news, praise, success, evidence that you are competent. This drawer is made of wet paper. Things go in, they sit there briefly, and then they dissolve. You give a great presentation. People tell you it was excellent. You feel good for approximately 45 minutes, and then it's gone, like it never happened. The second filing system handles bad news, criticism, failure, moments of doubt, the one question you couldn't answer in a meeting 3 years ago. This drawer is fireproof steel. Things go in and they stay there forever, fully intact, searchable. Available at 3 a.m. without warning. Same brain, two completely different retention rates. This is why telling someone with imposter phenomenon to just remember their achievements doesn't work. The achievements aren't stored where they need to be. The doubt is stored everywhere. Now here's what causes that filing system imbalance, and this is the part most people never hear. Your brain has a threat detection system. Its entire job is to keep you safe by staying alert to danger, and it is very, very good at its job. The problem is, your brain cannot always tell the difference between a physical threat and a social one. Being rejected from a tribe thousands of years ago meant death. So the brain evolved to treat social exposure, being seen as incompetent, being found out, being excluded, with the same urgency as a predator. When praise comes in, the brain processes it and moves on. No threat, no urgency. File and forget. When a hint of potential exposure comes in, a critical look, an unanswered question, a moment of uncertainty, the threat system fires. Full attention, full encoding, stored permanently. You are not broken. You are running ancient survival software in a modern world. the software was never designed to make you feel good about your performance review. It was designed to keep you alive. It is doing exactly what it was built to do. The glitch is not in your character. It's in the mismatch between the brain you have and the world you're living in. Now here is the part that will genuinely shift something for you. The more intelligent you are, the worse imposter phenomenon gets. Not better, worse. Here's why. When you know a subject deeply, you can see all of it, the full landscape. What you know, what you're still learning, what remains genuinely uncertain. You can feel the edges of your own knowledge. Someone who knows less about the same subject cannot see those edges. They don't know what they don't know, so they feel complete, confident, certain. Meanwhile, you, who knows far more, can see exactly how much more there is to know. And your brain interprets that awareness as evidence of inadequacy. There is actually a name for this. The less someone knows about a subject, the more confident they tend to feel about it. The more they know, the more their confidence is tempered by genuine understanding of the complexity involved. This is why the loudest person in the room is rarely the most informed one. And why the most informed person in the room is often quietly convinced they don't know enough. Think about the surgeons, the engineers, the researchers, the teachers who are genuinely exceptional at what they do. Ask almost any of them privately whether they feel fully qualified, and most will describe some version of waiting to be found out. Now ask someone who just watched a YouTube video about surgery whether they could perform one. The knowledge gap doesn't produce doubt. The knowledge produces doubt, and the absence of knowledge produces confidence. Sit with that for a moment. Here is the cruelest part of all of this. Every time you succeed, you make the imposter feeling stronger, not weaker, stronger. Here's exactly how that happens. You have a big task coming up, a presentation, an exam, a project, a job interview. The imposter feeling kicks in. You panic quietly, you over-prepare. You work twice as hard as the situation probably requires because you are genuinely terrified that without that preparation, the gap will show. You succeed, and your brain does not say, "I succeeded because I am competent." Your brain says, "I succeeded because I prepared obsessively. If I hadn't worked that hard, they would have seen through me. The preparation saved me, not me." The success is attributed to the strategy, not to you. The imposter stays intact. And the next time a big task arrives, the cycle runs exactly the same way, because it worked last time, and the belief underneath it was never actually touched. Now imagine the other version, the procrastinator. Same imposter feeling, different response. They avoid the task until the deadline forces action. They complete it in a compressed window, running on adrenaline. They succeed anyway, because capable people tend to succeed even when they're running late. And their brain says, "I got lucky. The topic happened to suit me. Anyone else would have done better with more time." Two completely different behaviors. Identical internal outcome. The imposter survives every success because every success gets explained away before it can land. This is not a motivation problem. This is a pattern that has learned to feed on its own evidence. There's one more thing that keeps the cycle running, and almost everyone does it without realizing. You compare your inside to everyone else's outside. When you watch a confident colleague present, you see the polish, the ease, the fluency. You do not see the hour they spent rehearsing in the bathroom mirror beforehand, the 3 versions of the deck they threw out, the moment right before they walked in when they seriously considered faking sick. When you observe yourself, you see all of it, every gap, every moment of uncertainty, every time the answer came from pattern recognition and luck rather than deep understanding, every shortcut, every approximation. The comparison is never fair because it is never symmetric. You are measuring their highlight reel against your behind-the-scenes footage. And the most painful part, the more capable the people around you, the worse this gets. Because high achievers surround themselves with other high achievers. The smarter your environment, the better everyone around you is at performing competence seamlessly in public. Which means the comparison your brain is running is not just unfair. It is designed to make you feel like the only person in the room who doesn't have it together. You are not. You are almost certainly surrounded by people running the same comparison against you. I want to give you an honest answer here rather than a comfortable one. The popular story is that imposter phenomenon goes away with enough success, enough time, enough recognition. You just need to achieve more and eventually the feeling will catch up. The research does not support this. What the data actually shows is that without deliberately addressing the underlying pattern, the imposter feeling follows you up every level of your career. It doesn't disappear. It just changes what it's worried about. The goalpost moves. The fear recalibrates to the new altitude. Senior executives, tenured professors, published authors, award-winning surgeons, all reporting the same feeling a junior employee has on their first week. The content changes. The structure stays. What does work, slowly, imperfectly, but measurably, is something very specific. Not positive affirmations, not being told you're great, not accumulating more achievements. It's applying the same standard of evidence to yourself that you already apply to everything else. You are probably very good at evaluating evidence objectively when it comes to your work, your field, your decisions. You would not accept a conclusion without looking at the data. You would not dismiss a result simply because it felt surprising. But when it comes to evaluating yourself, you accept the doubt without evidence and dismiss the success without consideration. The work is catching that inconsistency and correcting it, deliberately, repeatedly, not because the feeling disappears, but because you stop letting the feeling make the decisions. Here is what I want to leave with you. The feeling of not knowing enough, the persistent, uncomfortable sense that there is always more to understand, always more complexity than you fully grasped, is not a warning signal. It is the sensation of genuine competence doing its job accurately. The people who feel certain about everything are, by definition, not seeing clearly. Certainty is cheap when you can't see the edges of what you don't know. It is expensive, earned, when you can. Your doubt is not evidence of inadequacy. It is evidence that your brain is sophisticated enough to accurately model the full complexity of what you're doing. The most dangerous people in any room are not the ones who feel like frauds. They are the ones who never do. You were never a fraud who got lucky. You were a capable person whose brain never learned to file the evidence correctly. That is a very different problem. And unlike fraud, it is solvable. If this one hits somewhere real, there are 19 other episodes in the archive that operate the same way. No motivation, no inspiration, just the actual mechanism underneath the pattern. Subscribe if you're not already, and we'll see you in the next one.